Peace, peace, peace. Part 3. Class is in. It's a whole different kind of class. Class this week is based on information and what you do with it. Based on what you. Are you transforming yourself into a better spiritual human being? Are you just posting up videos because you're emotional? Are you just reading a few books and watching a few documents and thinking you're awakened, but you ain't going no farther than that? So who are you? You believe you African? Did you get the proper papers to do the DNA test? What if I told you there's possibility you could be here from South and North America? You could be part of the indigenous people. What if I told you everything you think you know, it ain't what it is? What if I told you before 30 years ago, the information that we received, we wasn't getting it like that. We was getting small little brackets, tiny little brackets. What if I told you majority of black people that was on this here in New York City wasn't into religion? What if I told you that religion is not that old? What if I told you to do your research? Would you just go find out instead of pointing the fingers at someone else, saying they're not real scholars? Be careful. I'm Chocolate Amun Ra. I never claimed to be a scholar. I never claimed to be a preacher, a minister, an archaeologist, astronomy, mathematician, science. Never claimed to be none of these things. But I will claim to be a messenger. My opinions and my thoughts, what I've done my research, my journey. Either you can listen or not. I told you before, you ain't got to follow me, because I'm not doing this for likes or views. It don't work like that with me. This is my journey, and this journey lasts to the day I die, because I find new information, constantly digging to figure out why and how come our people act the way they are. Now, when I say our people, I'm talking about the melanin race. You ain't related to me to a degree, because some of you believe that everybody's related to a degree. Are we? Are we all related? Nah, you just think that. You think we all come from Africa. Nah, we don't. Because the Bible, the Quran, the Tahara, the Book of Jubilee, the Bible dealing with Enoch, the lost books of the Bible, all these will tell you we're all from Africa. You only heard that term not from another black man. Where did he get it from? Because Africa is not the proper name. Africa, the name Africa stems from the name Africanus. Africanus was a Roman general. So be careful. Be careful. What you think you know, you don't know. Africanus was a Roman general who conquered part of Africa. So anytime a general conquers land, they stamp their name on it. Because at one time, the mass land of the earth was called Kush was named the Mass Lands. So, are we related? Huh? Do your research. You see, we use words and we put them in a bracket and thinking it fits. Nah. Because real Africans don't call themselves Africans. They call themselves by the nation they come from. Oh, that's real talk. Let me show you some of these nations. Are you ready? What I'm about to show you is African continent, 54 countries. So I was wrong about this. Well, I was off by 2 points, two digits, but I'm going to show you African continent, 54 countries. This is in Africa. To understand what's really going on. So here we go. Bear with me. Excuse me, sorry. Make sure you're reading it. Make sure you're reading it and understanding the flag. Now, hold on, y'all. I'm going to show it to y'all again. I'm only showing you again, I think, when I hit the button. I might have missed some of the beginning. So I apologize for that. But I just wanted to show y'all again these different flags. These different 54. But this is how easy you could be misled. You talking about Africa in the whole. Which one are you talking about that you want to go to? Which one? It's not to downgrade anything. You don't understand nothing about Africa. You don't know which one can you go where they would accept you. A lot of you sit up there and you're talking about, oh, you're talking about your own people. What do you mean, my own people? That's when you know your ignorance is beyond stupidity. You that ignorant believing my own people? Who's my people? I was born here in the United States of America. Let's get that first of all. I wasn't born in Africa. And African people, or Liberians, or Congo, the Republic of Congo, Syria, they will sit there and tell you, oh, was you born here? And you go, I was born in America. Go, you're not from here. They're going to tell you this. They're going to tell you in your face. Now, you got to find out, do you have a descendant from any one of these nations? It's a possibility you might not. This is what you don't understand. You think because you dark-skinned, we all in the same boat. Nah, it don't work like that. These nations are not all friends. These nations are not all buddies. These nations don't get along like that. They go to war for power and resources. This is why I showed you Roots. The clip of Roots when the guy said clearly, I'm Mandingo. He said, yeah, I'm tired of your family. We're going to sell you. First it was ransom for money. He said, forget about that. Sell them to the whites. That means they've been doing it. Y'all don't want no school. You're not going to learn this in church. They ain't going to teach you this stuff. Church is bullshit. They're not going to teach you none of this. They're not going to tell you possibility where you could come from. Possibility. They're going to sit here and explain to you. No. Understand what's going on. Resources. Money. That's what it's always been about. And yes, I'm going to show you clips. It's going to show you clips. All right. We've seen that already. Now I'm going to show you clips. Hold on, y'all. Now I show you these flags. You got Tanzania. Right? I'm going to name some of these flags. Right? You got Togo, Lumi. We got Tanzania, Tunis. Some of these names is kind of hard to pronounce. Agandia, Zimbabwe, Zambia, yeah. But what I'm saying is this, y'all. At the end of the day, are we learning? Are we understanding what's going on? I mean, are we learning this? All these different flags from Africa, right? 54. Understand that. So this is what I tried to tell y'all before. You got to understand what you're doing. You got to understand what you're doing. I'm researching as I'm speaking to you. Instead of making your judgment call the way you do, understand that. You're getting over emotional for something that you really don't know. When you start really digging in and doing your research, digging in, now you see these symbols. These symbols around the world. Real talk. These symbols ain't new. These symbols ain't just in Africa. These symbols around the world. Now a lot of people go, oh, well, Africans migrated and traveled around the world. That's a possibility. But what if there was people already there on the islands? Already there. Already there. See, we skip what we read and what we think we understand. The Bible clearly tells you in Genesis. In Genesis, right, the Bible clearly tells you the Bible tells you that in Genesis chapter 1, verses 22, it clearly tells you that God, the Creator, create man and woman in his image. For them to what? Multiply, fulfill the earth. So how we skip from that part, then we get to Genesis chapter 2, and then it starts to explain how God created man from dust. This is the European conception that what we read and what we think we understand. But when you do it the African way, as it's broken down from different black African scholars, and show you evidence how that story is different. May I show you a clip? Hold on there. Now this next clip I'm going to show you is about Master Teacher Ashra Kwesi. Explains the origin of Adam and Eve. The story, the Ramesses and Kemet, which you call Egypt. I'm going to show you that right now. Listen carefully, please. Listen carefully and understand, please.
Our African ancestors, brothers and sisters, saw the matrilineal system. Keep in mind that all the kings had to come from the line of the woman. Is that right? What man can say he didn't come from a woman? Please step forward so we can understand where you came from. So our ancestors had no problems understanding that divine principle of that sacred womb where we all came from. That was the basis and foundation of the goddess principle and the matrilineal system in Africa. And our ancestors saw, in order for the king to rule the throne, like you have Commen Ra here, the goddess Sheshat. Here you see her in the tree of divine wisdom, giving the fruit of divine knowledge and wisdom in order for him to rule the throne. It had nothing to do with no tree of good and evil. The patriarchs who came from the north, the Hyksos and others, who had a misogynistic nature, a hatred towards the woman, could not conceive of a woman nor a goddess giving a man anything. And that story was corrupted. The tree of divine wisdom and divine life was corrupted into the tree of what? Because here we have that they created in their biblical stories and the opening of the pages in Genesis that there was Adam and Eve, is that right? And they were not to eat of the tree of what? Knowledge of what? Good and evil. Now who was seduced by the serpent and ate from the tree? That's why, sisters, you got to watch and hear that sound. Psst. But anyway, here we see that she was seduced to eat the fruit, and then she seduced who? Adam. Now we are told that that's the reason for the world's sins of this first woman eating of the tree of good and evil, and that that's also not only the reason for the world's sins, but her monthly cycle is to remind her of that sin. This is what's taught in the church. Okay? Now when sisters start jacking that preacher up, who's been equally spiritually enslaved himself, to tell that story, and that we were born in sin. There was no story whatsoever in the Kemetic Nile Valley that we were born in sin. So a few years ago, back in 1988, boy, time is fast. Seemed like I just got this yesterday. Brother and sister showed me. They said, "Hey, brother, Kwesi, you see, there's a black Adam and Eve." Although they made a black Adam and Eve, that has nothing to do with our story. This is what we see the evolutionists and creationists fighting each other, and they know anthropological studies that black people were first, so they put a black Adam and Eve, and gave Adam a jerry curl and gave Eve a weave. You know, they had to be looking good for each other back then, you know. But it had nothing to do with our story, brothers and sisters. Even though they make it black to make you accept it, this is not still an African story. The African story is the goddess Sheshat giving the fruit of divine life from the tree of divine life and wisdom in order for the king to rule the throne. And this goddess concept was corrupted throughout the whole African Nile Valley, and even in our spiritual subconscious, even today, where we are told that the sisters are the ones, the women are the ones for the world's sins. This is the demonization of women and the hatred of women. This is part of the sexism that you get in the theologians. Even in Paul, it says that women shouldn't even speak in the church. But I'm letting you know that that is not the African spiritual way, brothers and sisters. We had a god and a goddess. That's a spiritual Ma'atian law that our ancestors saw. Okay? So let's understand that there was no rib, by the way, in the African creation story taken from the man to make the woman. That didn't exist. They were created simultaneously. So we did not have no story, but all of us got a navel where the umbilical cord was severed from our mothers, where we all came from. But until we get back to the true spirit.
Now, I wanted you to see that clip to get you a better understanding. How they took the original, the origin story, and burglarized it, demonized it. All because they didn't want the woman to have no type of power. They want the woman to be docile. Period. Clearly here, God and Goddess, they were made together. Even in the Bible, it's telling you that. In the first chapter, Genesis chapter 1, you got to read between the lines when it says make man and woman in our image. And then this big gap in between. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because knowing this information has nothing to do with the Africans who betrayed each other. Remember, they was going to war. Everything is about resources. So just because you know this information, you don't take that information that you showed you and then entwine and go, oh, we all African, blah, 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 blah. Nah. We talking about thousands of years ago. Because now, if I show you something from the Sumerian text or the Babylonian text, these are different civilizations. Understand something. Just because your skin color is dark, brown, darker brown, light skin, mulatto, Creole, cream, what that supposed to mean? What that supposed to mean? Understand the facts of the class. You ain't gonna learn this in church. I ain't gonna teach you none of that, what I just showed you. Gods and goddesses and brothers and sisters, listen to me here. When you go on your journey, in your real journey, and you go and bypass the books, you go and bypass videos, when you're going out there and you're walking out there and you got your garment, I'm gonna show you a video of me and my garment. When you go out there and you showing your freedom, your spirituality, as it flows through all things. Understand something. You walking out there. But remember this. Okay. Sorry, I needed to see something. I'm going to show you, once again, when you out, be your natural self. Are you naturally going outside and being free? Show you different clips, just small little clips.